did it!
What's up, YouTube? Today, it's a nice day out here. We're going to be installing a set of V-Force 4 reeds to my 2020 Husqvarna TC250. Got my son here. He's going to help me out.
What's up, guys?
So to get started, we're going to have to take apart pretty much everything. We're going to take off the seat, the airbox cover, the gas tank, the shrouds, all that. So we can get as much space as possible to get to the carburetor to remove everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to take off this airbox cover. Come up pretty easily. Put your fingers underneath, pop it off. See, I put a little grease on these little tabs here to help ease it. It won't get stuck. Got that twin air in there. Also, check that out. I tried to JB weld. Little part of my airbox broke off because the tab didn't come out so easily, hence the grease now. So grease it if you want to avoid getting your airbox broken off like that. Okay, to take the seat off, we're going to need to get this bolt right here. Boom. And it is a T27. Seat comes off. Now we're going to go over here and lift this tab up like that.
Fingers in.
Pop this out.
You know it is.
It should just go straight down. Here's the other side cover.
Nice.
So you want to take the silencer off with the T30.
This toy looks like a different bike now.
It does, huh? Missing all the plastics in the seat.
Yeah, because they're all there. Except for this and that and that and that. I mean, there's 3 parts on there.
Yeah, just a couple. Here, hold that exhaust up, Jackson. Hold it up. Just push on it. There you go. Hold it right there.
What are you going to do to it?
We're going to take these bolts out. Just so it doesn't fall. Just hold it right there. There you go.
Why are you going to take it off?
We're going to slip it out like this.
Cool.
Yeah. Pro circuit, baby. Just so you don't misplace these bolts, just reinstall them lightly back into the frame.
And right here. And right here. You guys see my hand? YouTube.
Next, we got to remove the radiator shrouds and then the gas tank. So using a T27 Torx head, should be a couple bolts in here. Just loosen them.
You see me?
And up here on the top, 6mm hex head.
Next we screw it.
Yep, unscrew it. Lefty loosey.
Lefty loosey.
So then you just unscrew it this way.
Okay, that one's out. Oh, do the next one.
It's pretty tough.
I can do it though.
These are very coarse thread plastic screws that go inside the gas tank, so make sure you take them out nice and easily. Oops. Take the shroud off. You should slide it back. Go ahead, grab it. Slide it back and pull it out. There you go. It's a really good idea to throw the bolts back in where they belong to keep them organized. Now that you got your center nut out, you can take the gas tank off. Push it straight up. Bam. This banding up here, this rubber piece up here to protect the tank from rubbing, pretty easy to take off. You just undo that little band right there. Pull this one like that. Work it. Work it. Yeah. Allows the throttle cable to be a little bit more free. Just don't forget how it's routed. Got a little mark of it rubbing into the powder coat, so you should be able to put it back pretty easy. So the correct size to take off this subframe bolt is a T45. It should be Loctited in there too, as well. So go real slow, careful not to mar up the threads. Oh yeah. A little scratched up too. Not the cleanest one I've seen. I'll have to scratch that up with or I should say buff it out with the Scotch-Brite pad. Yeah, once you get them all the way out, you want to remove them. From your bolt tray. Once you get your extension on there, so you can better reach that.
Then you just
want to loosen it just enough to where we can swing it up and out of the way. A couple turns. Then, as my son stops spinning the wheel, actually, rather than using a flathead and marring up that screw, it fits with a 6mm. Nice and snug, perfect fit. See that through there. Go a little looser. Not too loose, you don't want it to come off bend. You should just be able to pop that off. Just like so. When you're lifting this up, the airbox, you want to make sure it clears between the shock and that chain roller mount up here. Chain guide. Just kind of work it past that part. Tough to do with one hand. And let it support itself with the mud guard right here on the tire. And it's the same size, 6mm, for the other side of the car, the other boot. Not too loose. Once you get it the desired looseness, just grab that sucker, wiggle it out. The carb is free. Kind of tilt it. Pull the hoses out from the bottom. Slowly. Try not to flick everything all over myself. There she is. The Mikuni in all its glory. Depending on if you like Mikuni. Finally getting to this reed block. Now to take off the throttle cable, you're going to need a 7mm hex head. I'm going to have to do this with two hands, so bear with me. After you remove your bolts, spring tension is just going to lift it off. You can slide all the way out. Careful not to drop anything. You can just hang out right there for the time being. We're going to be replacing the slide.
Dad.
What's up, son?
What's up, guys? I'm back.
Look, here's the carburetor.
I was helping Grandpa emptying the pool.
Oh, cool. How I got the spring out was I twisted it out of the wire. And I was able to relieve the pressure, relieve the tension, and then got the slide off by just jiggling that little end right there out of a slot, and it popped right off. Definitely pays to have some finger dexterity. There it is. Looking through the reed pedals, there's a little bit of light on the sides. This can be expected when it's pretty new. It's only got 10 hours on the bike, but you can see a little bit of gleam of light on the sides. But nothing in the middle. Looks pretty good actually. This is a preventative measure, putting the V-Force reeds on there, because I hear these stock ones crack like crazy, even with only 10 hours. Here's a comparison for the V-Force 4R reeds and the stock reeds. It just looks way better. More aggressive design. Better flow on the intake side. Tail's got a little bit of a taper right here. This is kind of a rounded block. Kind of rounded, as you can see. This one looks a little bit more closed off on that side. It's kind of a weird shape. I'm excited to get these on. Now for this little elbow right here, you want to take this gasket off and clean off the remaining gasket if there's any type of residue left. Put this new one on. Pretty much only goes on there one way. Just like that. If you reverse it, it's not going to fit the right way. As you can tell, it doesn't match up. Flip it another way, it's perfect. So, after ensuring you got all your gasket surfaces scraped and cleaned, spotless as you will, get all your gaskets lined up the right way on the V-Force 4R reed block, and slip it in there. Get a couple of them started. Just go to snug, finger tight, not even finger tight, just run the thread all the way down until it meets. You want it to be extremely even for the best seal. Now get yourself the correct Phillips head. We're going to remove the float bolt. Bam. After the float bolt is removed, it looks pretty good. I like how the gasket is nice and clean still. You're going to need a 6mm to remove that jet right there. Now in order to get the needle jet out, I use a small, well, actually first you got to take the pilot jet out right here. Take that out, size 8, millimeter. So stick this in there. You want to just put a little pressure and it'll pop right out. Careful not to put too much pressure, as you'll kind of mar up the soft metal that's in there. So doing a lot of research on forums for the KTMs and Huskies, the 250s. I did a lot of jet changes on the Mikuni carburetor, the TMX 38, and now running a 470 main jet with the 32.5 pilot jet. I switched the needle into a 4275 on the third clip position, and also instead of running the stock S1 pilot jet, the needle jet, I switched it to a S4 that came on the 2018s. Also switching the slide from a 4.0 to a 5.75. So the thing's going to run a whole lot better with the Pro Circuit pipe, and also the V-Force reeds on there. Be a whole new bike. So after you get your float back on with that single screw right there, make sure it pivots alright. Just turn it upside down. I can see the needle working, going in and out. I can't really get that out of the video. Then you put this plastic piece on. Make sure it goes on this right way. There's only one way it can go on. Now we got the slide here. We're going to remove the needle. So as you're putting your new slide on, careful of that little plastic piece, that white plastic piece that goes down there. It matches up with that keyway. Make sure it goes all the way to the bottom before you start spinning your spring on, or else your throttle will be really funny. So carefully put the slide back in. Use your fingers to line up the needle, and it should go right in there. There it goes. Should match up right with that little tab in the boot perfectly. Route your hoses the right way. They're actually not quite right. Route your hoses and then tighten that hose clamp down. So after sliding the boot back onto the carburetor and tightening it down, you want to torque it right here on the subframe to 22 foot-pounds. Alright, after you get your gas tank on and your shrouds and torque them, then you put your seat back on. fast. Running way too fast. When it started running really, really fast on initial startup, I did all the way in on that brass air screw, all the way in, the flathead right there, and then 2 full turns out. Seemed to be the trick. And also did the idle adjuster, and I backed it out probably about 4 turns, and it sounds really good. Depending on your elevation, your temperature, get it in the ballpark. It's idling really well now.